Now, a lot of people took my initial review of the Puma Ultra kind of the wrong way, because I did criticize the boot in some aspects, but that was mainly down to the boot basically being confusing. Like, didn't really know what it wanted to be, in my opinion, or it was trying to be too many things. That doesn't mean that I didn't think it was good. However, as time's gone on, I've potentially come around even more to forgiving this boot for some of the things that I criticized it for. One of the things I did criticize on the upper of the Ultra was this bit of padding that you got in the forefoot. If you run your hand down, there's kind of an additional padded sensation just in the forefoot area. Now, I didn't say that was a bad thing. I said that it just didn't really lend itself to the style of the boot that Puma were going for. But you know what? This makes this a more accessible boot for more people. So yes, it's not the most insane speed boot type feeling, but there's nothing wrong with the touch on the ball here. And again, as that upper breaks in, it molds, it softens, and that little bit of extra padding comes in really handy. So while yes, I still think that it doesn't lend itself quite to those full speed boot vibes, would I take it away? Probably not. I like it. I also questioned the durability of these lace loops in my initial review. Would they stand up to scrutiny? Because they look like they're going to be a bit flimsy. You will see by looking at this boot, all lace loops 100% intact, no damage incurred. Really, really nicely put together, and these boots have pretty much primarily been used on AstroTurf as well, so that's definitely an abrasive surface. I don't recommend using these on Astro, by the way. I think that the sole plate is too aggressive for Astro, despite the fact it's being listed as FGAG. And let's just talk about the sole plate. It's fantastic. I really like it. I stick with everything that I said. It's a really great speed boot sole plate. It gives you a little bit more flexibility than something like an X Ghosted or a Vapor. It's also not as aggressive as those boots, but it's still really, really good. It's a great lightweight sole plate with a nice amount of flexibility. My only criticism is that it's listed as FGAG, and that is total nonsense. This is an FG stud pattern, not one that I recommend for AG at all. I touched on the weight there, so let's have a look at the weight. So this is just a real simple thing, and I wouldn't normally weigh boots again in a kind of a 6-month on playtest style review, but it is worth mentioning or noting that these come in at 159 grams in a US 8, which is basically the lightest mass production football boot that you can buy right now, which is crazy impressive. If you want a lightweight football boot, this is where you need to be looking. It's just really, really good. For me, I don't care so much that it's that light, but it is quite a different sensation. It is a very nice sensation, and combined with that aggressive outsole, you do feel very light on your feet, very nimble. And as a package, it's really great to have, but I do think having it that light is more of a marketing gimmick than any kind of physical advantage that you are going to get from the boots, but I'm certainly not complaining about it. Now, we do have to talk about the fit here, because this is an area that, again, I criticized with this idea of a boot not knowing what it wants to be, because it just doesn't have the relevant silhouette for a speed boot. Look at all the volume that's in this midfoot, and just the way that the collar sits. It just doesn't look to me like a really aggressive speed boot, despite the fact that I actually think it looks like a really nice football boot. But back to the comfort. This, for me, is probably the most comfortable speed boot of the big 3 brands, and even New Balance. I think this is more comfortable than the New Balance Furon, which is a really nice, really comfortable football boot. And I think that if you're looking for something with that slight bit of padding that's got more comfort but still feels like a really nimble speed boot, then this is definitely something that you should be checking out. I did criticize the volume in the initial review. I just think there's too much volume across the top of your foot. If you have a thinner or a narrow foot, I think you should actually avoid this boot. I believe I said at the time that it would kind of do most people. If you have a very thin or a narrow foot or a low volume foot, avoid this. You're just going to end up with excess material all across the top of your foot, and you're going to hate it, and it's going to be terrible. But I think that this is it's been fine for me. I have a fairly average width foot, average volume foot, and it's been okay. But one thing that I really want to see on a newer generation is I want to see this profile slimmed down. If they only do one thing, that is what I want to see. I want to see a slimmer profile in this boot, because you know what? Everything else absolutely ticks a box. The touch, the outsole, the aggressiveness, the comfort. There's so little to dislike about this particular football boot, and I could see this comfortably being the go-to for training, for matches, for so many players all across leagues across the world. If you're looking for a boot that's going to go out there, do a job, feel premium, give you a really nice touch and feel on the ball, and be comfortable for 90 minutes, a couple of training sessions. You know, not everyone's got money to spend on multiple pairs of boots. We're not all pros, but if you want to dip into one pair of boots, or maybe two of the same boot, to wear extensively, get great comfort and seemingly great durability out of, then the Puma Ultra has to be right near the top of your list. So yes, I praised it the first time round, and I suppose the big question in these extra time reviews after 6, 7, 8 months worth of being able to test out and use a boot, is it a good boot? Is it better or worse than my initial review? Well, I think that my initial review was fair, because I pointed out many things that I do still think are potential problems with a boot's identity. However, that may have potentially come across as me criticizing a boot for its performance, which I'm absolutely not doing. This is fantastic. Small tweaks can be made. Volume, it could have more lockdown. That I would love more lockdown in this, and that can be helped by lowering the volume. I don't like the volume on the boot. I'm rambling. This is really, really good. If you're considering it, then I say give it a go. I say absolutely pick this up and give it a go, because I think it's going to tick so many boxes of so many people. As I said in a video the other day, somewhat inexplicably, it tickles my taters. I made up a phrase and I ran with it. We've used it twice now. Continuing on, let me know what you think. If you have Ultras, if you've tried Ultras, are you as hyped about them as me? Are you hyped for a new generation? Also, let me know what boots you want to see me do another extra time review on. And of course, like the video, get subscribed to the channel, and if you can support us, head to patreon.com/BootWizard. It is greatly appreciated. That's all from me here today. Have a good one. I will see you soon.